Welcome back to, I'm Tim Gordon, and I'm from thefilmgordon.com, and it is finally good after 6 years again to catch up with David Oyelowo, who last I saw in Washington, D.C. with Ava DuVernay when you guys were promoting Selma back in the day. What's going on, brother Oyelowo?
I'm very well. It's so great to see you again. Wow, 6 years, time flies.
Man, I was doing some research, and it made me laugh before I got on with you. I said, you finally made it to space. You were in Interstellar as the principal. You didn't get to go to space. You're in space now, bro. Commander. Hey, bro, it's been a long ride, man. You did an amazing job in Midnight Sky. So let's jump right into it. It's a film that you guys made, as I said, about 12 to 18 months ago. And as the timing works out, the Earth that you guys describe in the film is somewhat similar to the Earth that we're living through right now during this pandemic, man. Talk to me about your feelings of the timing of the release of this project and your participation in it.
Well, I'm gonna attribute you as it's your fault that I keep doing these films that are resonant to the moment we're in. I mean, Selma, we did that film, and then it was literally in the wake of Michael Brown and then the Black Lives Matter movement, coming into real prominence and recognition. And here we are. This is another film that we shot before the amplification of what the film is actually about. I mean, in the Midnight Sky, I play a commander of a space station tasked with a group of astronauts to go and find a new planet because we have decimated our own and we are facing an existential threat. We shot this before the pandemic. And I thought I was doing a sci-fi movie that was kind of a fantasy. And then we wrapped in February, and in March we were in lockdown with, food lines and just crazy stuff. I think that, where I am glad of the timing of the film is that the film is a cautionary tale. We have now been put on notice that we are more fragile than we recognized. We are not impervious to being shut down as a planet. And, what we're doing to the environment, really, there are chances that we can break the back of this beautiful place we've been given to live in and on. And that's what the film really highlights.
Well, I'm just going to do a quick pivot and say that from 2010 to now, last 10 years, I really feel that I can relate to each and every portrayal that you've had. And I've seen you work across the board, whether it's Nightingale, Lincoln. I mean, you've done so much quality work. We put on the Black Reel Award, so we honor the work that you've done over the course of your career.
Yes, you have.
Bro, I'm very proud of you. And, as I said, every time I see you in different work, man, whether it's work that you're doing over in Britain, whether it's work that you're doing here in the States, you bring an element to every performance that you do, which I appreciate, man. So I just wanted to say that to you.
I really, really, really appreciate that. You guys have been incredibly good to me over the years. And as an actor, as a Black actor, the reality is so often we are not celebrated to the degree that, you would hope, for reasons that we all know why that is. And my profession is one in which you don't really know how good you are unless the people you are making the content for tell you and recognize you and celebrate you. That's unfortunate because it leads to actors being a little cuckoo and insecure. But when you have people who come alongside and encourage you to keep going, it is, I cannot express how much that means. And, the task I have set myself as a Black actor, as a Black man, is to continue to try to contextualize who we are as Black people on planet Earth. And so it is very meaningful for me to play the commander of a space station tasked with saving the planet. It was something I lobbied for, to have him have an African name, as opposed to Tom Harper, which was the original name.
Okay.
I wanted him to be Commander Adewale because, I know the significance that carries for us, in Africa, Africans in the diaspora, a recognition of the fact that we are transcendent and amazing and can do extraordinary things. And so every role I gravitate towards, I'm hoping it continues to break down perceptions, stereotypes, caricatures that we have had to deal with as Black people, because I really want to be part of the solution and definitely not part of the problem.
So, David, representation does indeed matter, and it's not just you on this ship, but you also have Tiffany Boone.
Right.
When George Clooney called you and asked you to do this film, when you read the screenplay, was the diversification of the character or the diverse nature of the cast, was that important to you in accepting it, along with, as you saying, being the commander of this vessel?
It's always important to me. When I'm afforded a role, I often am looking at what this could represent culturally. That is not something a white actor necessarily has to think about,
Right.
But because we are still in a time where how we are represented has very real cultural resonance, I have to think about it. And when I heard that Tiffany Boone was going to be in it as well, the thing that really blessed my heart is to not be the one. Because I think that's also a syndrome where you can sometimes be the token that keeps everyone else away, or gives the excuse for, well, we gave you one, so, calm down, be quiet, be happy with what you have. But to have two of us as part of a crew of 5, I really think that speaks to George Clooney's understanding of the fact that representation is not tokenism. It
Right.
should be true representation of what the planet actually looks like, and of how we interact with each other in the world. And so, yeah, it was huge for me that it wasn't just me.
Now, David, you're a young man, and looking at the gray on my chin, you can see that I have a couple more years on you. And over my career, I've seen the biggest difference I've seen is that we had more representation now than we had, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But the biggest change for me has been in the storytelling itself. Who's the point of view that the story is coming through? And we're seeing more stories being told by us about us. What have you noticed over that time or during your career? Because I'm sure you haven't been 30 years in the game as well, but what have you noticed that biggest changes over the course of your career as it relates to representation?
Well, I've noticed exactly what you have, that we are now telling our own stories, both in front of and behind the camera. But the other huge change, I think streaming has created a world whereby some of these gatekeepers who have kept us from our audience have been sidelined, because Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, these streaming platforms, they operate on data. They know who's watching and they know who the audience is, and they are creating content for that audience. We were being told lies for decades. Black doesn't travel, the audience isn't ready, that story isn't going to resonate globally. Well, it's just a lie. It has been a lie. We knew it was a lie, but the great thing about streaming is that if you don't give the audience what they want, they will stop subscribing, and so you have to listen to your audience and then give them what they want, and they want us. They are telling us that all the time, and they can read the data, and that data is what we were being kept from when the gatekeepers, who were mostly white and male, were keeping us from our audience. And so, that to me is the big change. And I think, with the continuing shifting sands, with studios shrinking, which I believe they are going to continue to do, and people like me being given a platform whereby your content can now get straight to consumer with VOD and streaming and, YouTube and, and Instagram. And, that's only going to continue being able to get direct to consumer. And I think our voices are only going to get louder and more potent.
Sir, I want to thank you for your time today. Please don't make it 6 more years before we can talk again. David Oyelowo, it is always a pleasure, brother. Continued success, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Tim. So great to see you again.
You take care, man.